You probably think discipline is what separates successful people from everyone else, and maybe you've tried to summon it yourself, waking up early, taking cold showers, following a strict diet, going beast mode. And maybe, just maybe, it worked. For a few days, then came the crash. One night, you're eating popcorn at 3 a.m., watching Netflix with one hand and scrolling TikTok with the other. And in that moment, the guilt creeps in. I'm a failure, you whisper to yourself. But what if I told you that the whole idea of discipline, at least how it is sold to us, is a lie? We're bombarded by influencers with chiseled ABS and motivational quotes, flashing their Rolexes and luxury cars, telling us we're just not trying hard enough. But here's the thing. It's not about trying harder. It's about understanding yourself, because discipline, the kind that actually sticks, doesn't come from punishing yourself or forcing routines. It comes from something far more powerful: motivation. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me explain. I wasn't always like this. I was overweight, depressed, unemployed, and lost. I lived in a loop: couch, fridge, bathroom, repeat, my meals, a cocktail of frozen pizza, fast food, regret, and my hobbies, porn, video games, streaming, and so I wasn't lazy. I was stuck. And no motivational video changed that, but something else did. So, what changed? I stopped trying to be disciplined. I stopped pretending that force of will alone would carry me, because force of will is like a phone battery, reliable for a bit, but it drains fast. The real shift happened when I found something worth showing up for, something that made sense to me, not to society, not to social media, but to me. It wasn't about pretending to be a Navy SEAL. It was about finding my own juice. I'll explain that in a bit. First, let's break this down. Why is it so hard to change? Because your brain isn't broken, it's efficient. It's constantly calculating effort versus reward. And if your brain doesn't see an immediate, meaningful payoff, it shuts the operation down. That's why the couch wins over the gym. That's why Netflix beats writing your book. But here's what most people miss. Motivation isn't about hype. It's not running through the streets with a group of people clapping and shouting slogans. It's not a euphoric buzz. It's not some magical spark you wait for. Motivation, in its most raw and scientific form, is a reason, a clear, deeply personal reason. In neuroscience, we know that certain behaviors are driven by structured circuits in the brain. There is a habit circuit, there are emotional circuits, but guess what? There is no discipline circuit. There is no magical part of your brain that stores discipline. Discipline, as we've been sold, doesn't exist. What does exist is motivation. And when you're genuinely motivated, discipline becomes redundant. You don't need to force yourself to do something when your brain has a compelling reason to act. Still, don't believe me. Let's talk about monkeys. A neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz ran a famous experiment at Cambridge. He connected electrodes to a monkey's brain and taught it to press a button when a light turned on. If it did, it got juice. Sweet, delicious juice. The monkey's brain released dopamine, the pleasure chemical, when it drank the juice. But over time, the dopamine didn't spike when it drank. It spiked when the light came on. Why? Because the anticipation of the reward was more powerful than the reward itself. What does this have to do with you? Everything. Because unless you know what your juice is, what reward you, truly, chasing ULL. Never press the button, you'll never take the action. You'll stay where you are, lost in algorithms, drowned in expectations that aren't even yours. Most people fail, not because they're weak, but because they're chasing someone else's dream, someone else's version of success. And here's the trap. The world is constantly telling you what your juice should be. Parents telling you what job to get. Influencers selling you the dream life. Algorithms recommending what to desire. And we listen. We internalize. We chase rewards we don't even want. So the very first step to becoming who you want to be is to block out the noise and ask, what's my juice? Now, maybe you don't know yet. That's okay. Then ask yourself a simpler question. Do you even want to change? Be honest. Maybe you don't. Maybe your life isn't painful enough yet. Maybe you're not ready. But then, ask a deeper question. Would you like to want to change? That's different. That's the start of something real. Because now, you're not chasing a goal, you're chasing a spark. From here, write it all down. Everything you think you want. A six-pack, a better job, waking up early, writing a book. Then go down that list and ask, is this mine or someone else's idea? Would I still want this if nobody else ever saw it? If no one clapped? If it brought me zero status? That's how you find your juice. Once you do, start small. Like laughably small. 5 push-ups, 1 page of reading, 1 healthy meal a day. Your brain will protest. This is nothing. It doesn't count. But here's the thing. It counts. Because it's movement, it's action aligned with your true reason. It's a vote for the person you want to become. And yes, obstacles will come. You might not have time. You might not have money. Maybe your dream requires tools or a space you don't yet have. But real motivation lets you endure that discomfort. You'll make trade-offs, give up Netflix for study, skip brunch for your side hustle, delay gratification now to build the environment you need tomorrow. That's what long-term thinking looks like. But even then, your brain will try to sabotage you. What difference does 5 pages make? Why bother if you're not going to train for 2 hours? That's the voice of your comfort zone, trying to negotiate with your ambition. Your response? It makes all the difference because this is my juice. That's the real discipline. Not the grind, not the macho mindset. It's remembering your reason when everything else feels pointless. It's loving yourself enough to honor your promises. That's what this is. Not punishment, not obligation. Think of your goals like a fire, and every small action is fuel. At first, it's a flicker, but if you keep feeding it a fin in the dark, even in the rain, it becomes a blaze. And one day, it's no longer a question of motivation. It's just who you are. And when people ask how you stay so focused, so driven, you won't say discipline. You'll say, I have a reason. You'll say, I found my juice. So now the only question left is, what's yours? If this message sparked something inside you, a tiny flicker, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Mindshift Minute for more insights like this. Hit the like button if this resonated and share it with someone you care about. Your future self is waiting, and it all starts with one reason. One choice, one shift. See you in the next video.